We are joined here today with a new friend of mine, Areeb Islam. He came all the way from South Africa just to come to Mansfield, Ohio, small city of Mansfield, Ohio. Areeb Islam has extensive knowledge in comparative religions and different topics that I have no idea about. So today we're going to pick his brain and kind of ask him some questions. You know, me being I'm Muslim, of course, and he's a revert. How long have you been a Muslim?
11 years now, alhamdulillah.
11 years,
Jeez,
okay.
jeez.
So this is coming, I was born a Muslim, and a lot of you guys know that, you know, we take it for granted. We kind of mix our Islam with, you know, the cultural baggage and, you know, what our parents taught us, and especially, you know, my brothers, they're first generation American. I was born in India, but I came here when I was 3 years old, so I'm American, you know, and I don't identify myself as Indian or Pakistani. I'm Muslim and I'm American. That's it, you know. And these days, especially with, you know, all this talk in the media about Islam being terrorism and anti-women and anti-civil rights and all these crazy topics, you know, I know that's not true.
Yes,
but
yeah.
I mean, someone that has, you know, the average Muslim, the youth in America, they're kind of borderline, you know. It's basically if they are, you know, practicing, it's kind of like they're practicing with the cultural baggage, you know. They go to Jummah prayers, you know, Friday prayers, they go to Jummah prayers, they go to Eid prayers, you know. Some don't even go to Jummah prayers. I mean, majority of the youth, when I mean youth, I'm talking about, you know, 18 to 30 years old. I mean, that's not, I guess that's young adults.
Young
you
at
know?
heart.
But in Islam, youth is all the way till 40. Is that correct?
Is that right?
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, you have a unique perspective because you've been to many different Muslim countries. Can you kind of elaborate on where you traveled?
Sure. What was interesting what you said is that you said that you are a Muslim American. And I think that is very, very important, that we all realize that we're Muslims first, no matter what country we come from. We can be Muslim South African, Muslim Italian, Muslim American. And sometimes we have the reverse the other way around. We say we're American Muslims or South African Muslims. And I think it's beautiful that we have our identity as Muslims, no matter where you go. I mean, coming here to America, you see people of all different nationalities, all different backgrounds, all different cultures, but they're Muslim first. Their cultural identity is something that is secondary to that. And you're right, many of the youngsters that are coming into the mosque, young people, young at heart people, it's sort of a ritual. The mosque has become something that, well, it's like a good luck charm. Let's just go there and do the bare minimum that we have to do as a Muslim, so that, well, when we pass from this life into the next life, you know, we may just make it into heaven because we just did the rituals that we're meant to do. And it's beautiful to see some of the young people, because not all young people at heart are like that. Some of them are dedicated and they're coming every single time to the mosque. You know, they're early there for a Jummah, they're excited about Islam. So alhamdulillah, we have both. But in America,
I'm gonna
have good, bad, and the ugly.
This is not really an interview. This is more like a discussion. So I'm gonna be myself, okay? And I want you to be yourself. And me being myself, I tend to interrupt conversations. My wife gets really mad too. You know, she'll be talking, you know, and
No problem.
I'm gonna just kind of be like, actually, that's not right, or oh, what do you think about
No
this?
problem.
So don't get offended. You know,
Inshallah,
this is gonna be. I think it's a great format because I just want you to not know what the questions are and kind of just go on the fly, you know. Have you guys use that term in South Africa?
Yes,
on
we
the
use
fly?
the word, yeah. So it'll be,
How about
it'll be like one of those talk shows where we have no idea what's going to come.
So someone might come in back behind you and just ram the car, you know. But thank God it's a one-way street going that way. Okay, but let me ask you. Let me segue back into. Let me know a little bit about yourself. Like what? When did you become Muslim? And tell me your life before Islam. You know, not the cliche like, you know, I found. I mean, I want to know, what was your life like? I mean, were you like you know, some crazy, you know, like, I don't know, when were you born? Like in the
60s, 70s,
80s?
yeah, 60s and
60s
70s.
and 70s. So I don't know what it was like.
Hippie
Hippie era. So I mean, were you kind
Nothing's
of crazy? You know, what was your life like as a pre-Islam, and then what made you change into a Muslim?
Well, one of the beautiful things about being, before I became a Muslim and becoming a Muslim, the only thing that changed is my spiritual life and my value system. Otherwise, I still remained the same Caucasian Muslim person that I was before. Often people think that when you become a Muslim, you're going to lose your identity, you're going to lose your culture, you're going to lose who you are. you still keep that.
What
but
about
the
like?
good parts
I mean, what about like where I mean, I don't want to, go into detail into your past, but like, were you like like the typical like college student, and frats and all that stuff, and then, or did you have a typical like non-Muslim lifestyle where you go to the bars or whatever?
Not really. I had a very, you would say, quite a religious upbringing. A very conservative upbringing, and I, from a very, very young age, understood that there is a God. Very, very young. From about 4, 5, 6 years old, I really realized that there is a God and I needed to serve Him. So I was one of those religious kids, those ones that irritate you?
Oh, yeah.
The religious types?
Yeah.
I was one of those guys. So
it's funny how you said that. I'll tell you a story afterwards.
So when people saw me coming, they said, "Oh, this guy's one of those religious freaks." And so I had
like
that
a Bible
label.
thumper.
I was a Bible basher from young.
Okay.
And so the first thing
Well,
I
you'd
did...
be Bible thumper.
Yeah.
Thumper is like Bible bashers. Maybe you became.
Not bashing.
I was kidding. Bible thumper is like, hey, it's like this is the Bible and
Okay.
it's the Word of God and whatever.
That's
But we'll
the
get
type-
into that.
I was that type of guy.
Okay, yeah.
So when I was young, I got involved in the church very young, and I was an altar boy, not an altered boy, an altar boy in the
Okay.
Catholic Church. Today there's lots of scandals
did
about
someone touch
altered
you?
boys. No,
Oh,
one
okay,
touched.
all right.
That's why I said I'm not altered. Because a lot of people go, Catholic altar boy, okay, we know, oh shame, we feel so sorry for you. It wasn't none of those things. It was those days when the Catholic priest was still scared of doing things like that, fortunately. Well, they weren't, maybe,
No,
I was just
I know.
fortunate.
I don't want to. I'm not a. I don't want to
No problem.
stereotype everything.
But alhamdulillah, I was very fortunate. I had a good priest, and he taught me basically the truth of what I understood in that time period, the truth that I was able to understand. And that was that there is a God that you need to serve, that you need to love. And so I accepted that. Mm-hmm. So I became very involved in the church from a very young age, served in the church in any way I could. So I grew up with that very strong religious belief. And got involved in the youth, was that youth leader in the church, was that youth leader in the community and school. You have the MSA in school. Mm-hmm. I was that MSA leader.
What's MSA, like
Muslim
Student
Association.
But like Christian
But it was the
student-
Christian version, which is the Student Christian Association.
Oh, okay.
So everyone, you are going to become a priest when you leave high school. That was it. Like there was no other choice. And so that's the road that I took. I was a religious person whole life. That doesn't mean I was a little angel. Of course I was up to mischief, and of course I was up to things that were wrong, but I was very good at hiding that.
Did you have any exposure when you were older, maybe, I'm guessing you took Islam in your late 20s?
Yeah, I took it in 30s actually, but...
Mid-30s?
Yeah,
Okay, so
mid-30s.
let's just say in your 20s, were you even stronger in your own belief system?
I was, yes. I was very determined that Christianity was like the only way, the truth, and the life. I was involved with evangelism and missionary works. I was that guy that you'd see standing on the road, handing out pamphlets and harassing people when they walked into shopping complexes.
Did you have any experience with Muslims?
I did, and not very good ones, because I would say that I was terrorizing people.
Well, see, you're a pretty tall guy. I mean, you're
I'm
about
6'4".
Yeah, 6'4". I mean,
I can be a bit scary.
I'm like 5'5", right? And, but I mean, I'm short, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't take anything for anybody. But there's a lot of people. You were in Durban. Is that correct?
That's correct.
There's a lot of Indians and Pakistanis in Durban.
Yes.
And I think they have, being Indian origin and descent. I think they have that mentality of like, the white guy is like
Scary
superior.
guy, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm generalizing, but
it also helps that I look a little bit like the Prophet Isa. Peace be upon him. So they're a little bit scared because he looks like that guy.
Was there any like one or two experiences that you remember as a young adult that you had with a non-Muslim, non-Christian, be it Hindu or Muslim?
Well, there's two interesting stories.
And tell me that story.
One was I was invited to somebody's house to have a meal after I had preached that day. At the service, I had preached to the community, a church service, and afterwards one of the Indian families invited me to their homes, a Christian family. Uh-huh. And as I walked into the house, there was a beautiful smell of chicken cooking and roast potatoes. And that Sunday lunch.
Yeah, and did that smell leave with you also?
It was so beautiful. No, but as I walked into their house, I couldn't wait to eat the food. I was like so excited to eat their food. But when the food arrived on the table, there was this beautiful chicken, but there was glazed little flies that had been burnt into the chicken.
Flies.
Like flies.
Oh, yeah.
And they're little insects that had been cooked with the chicken, but they hadn't noticed it. I think when they opened it, the flies flew in and they just kept baking it.
Okay.
And I immediately lost my appetite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's one thing that really stuck out. And I often use that in talks, and I say, like, you have to be careful there's no dead flies in your religion.
Yeah.
It might look good, might smell good, but it tastes terrible. You're not going to eat it. And the second one was when I saw a Muslim family. I remember one day at the beach, the ocean, the real ocean, the one with the waves, not the ocean at a dam or a river.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was this Muslim family, and I remember going up to one of the women and physically grabbing hold of her and saying, "You can be free, you don't have to wear these these ridiculous oppressive outfits."
But didn't you
how the Muslims didn't beat me up,
But
I
didn't
don't
you
know.
realize that nuns wear the same habits and
you
whatnot?
see, you get indoctrinated over the years, and you start to believe the hype that everyone says, "Oh, they are like oppressed. How can you wear that? That's not freedom." To have true freedom, you have to buy the cosmetics that the media is feeding you to wear, buy the clothes that the media are feeding you to wear. And our secular woman, or our non-Muslim woman, you look at the way they are bound in chains to buy these products.
Well, yeah,
Let's
they
have
gotta wear,
Prada, let's have this,
Yeah, exactly, and look good for the guys,
and they're more slaves.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
become bigger slaves to
Yeah.
the system.
Yeah.
So those are the two things that stand out immediately when you ask me without like thinking too much into it.
So what was that turning point, a catalyst, I guess you can say, to go into Islam?
I was asked to do a lecture, a talk to some young people in my congregation. We had about 3,000 people. And the topic was men and women's relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Like boys and girls. Can they date? Can they go out? Can they get to know each other? Can they go watch a film together? Go to watch a cinema? That type of thing. How far can they go? Can they kiss? Can they hold hands? Can they hug?
Yeah,
Like how
like
far is too
courtship
far?
stuff. Yeah.
And so I started looking through the Bible. Thought this is an easy topic. Let me go through the Old Testament, see what they say about that. And I couldn't find anything in the Old Testament that even remotely mentions that. I looked through the New Testament, again couldn't find anything. So I thought, well, let me look at other world scriptures. So I looked at the writings of Buddha, the writings of Hinduism, like the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, the Psalms. None of them I could find anything that said anything about dating. So the final book that I was prepared to look at was the Quran. And that I picked up, and I didn't know how to read it. I didn't know where to start. So I went to the back where it has the index, like A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Looked under woman,
Yeah.
and I read all the verses dealing with women. Then I read all the verses reading about men. And I was shocked at how beautiful it was and how practical it was with just simple things. How men must behave, how women must behave.
But you weren't scared because you were brought up as a Christian, and then
Yeah.
here it is, you're
A beautiful
kind of
book, yeah.
seeing
I
some
didn't believe
positive
it.
stuff in Islam. So
Yeah.
was it kind of scary to you, or?
I didn't believe it. I just thought, wow, this is practical stuff. At least they're showing their people how to live, where our book is very vague as the Bible. And so this was the beginning of a 1-year voyage into the Quran.
Yeah.
Not a voyage into Islam, but a voyage into the Quran, where each time I started to look deeper into the Quran, it started to make more sense to me. So the day that I was presenting my lecture in the church to this congregation of people, I started off with the following lines. And this was the last time I also spoke in church. This was the final sermon I gave. I opened by saying, Islam has everything to offer Christianity, but Christianity has nothing to offer Islam. And all the people were getting very worried because everything that I said for the next 45 minutes was pro-Islam, even though I had no interest in becoming a Muslim. Just simply looking at the text and their book and the way that the Quran was teaching was attracting me towards it without me even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the 1-year period that brought me closer and closer to Islam. And eventually, after speaking to brothers at an organization in South Africa.
What was the name of that organization?
It was the late Sheikh Ahmed Didat's organization.
Okay. So you studied under him?
Yes, and I actually met him, and I met with him a couple of times. I debated against him when I was younger, argued with him many times in his office. So it was his organization and his work that sort of brought me into the final part, the final hour, where I came to accept Islam. And it was when they explained to me the simplicity of Tawheed, the simplicity of who God is. That was the final nail, if you want to call it. I don't think nail in the coffin would be the right word, but it was the final seal that dropped that penny into my head, into my brain. And then it
final punch to the face.
Exactly, and it sunk from my head
that
to my
make
heart.
sense either,
From my head to my heart, they both connected.
Yeah, okay.
Where it had been just intellectual.
Yeah.
This time it actually moved to being also emotional. So the intellectual and emotional connected. And then I was able to make that decision and connect. And that was the day I took Shahada.
We're gonna take a quick break in a few minutes, in
Yeah.
a minute or so. So, what's some websites they can go
Well, they
to?
can go to areebislam.com.
Okay.
Areeb.
Okay, we'll have that. You'll see that on the bottom
ISLAM.com.
here. Yeah.
There it is, right
Yeah.
there.
Okay. There it is. Now I gotta edit that. Thanks a lot. Now. But okay, we're gonna take a quick break. Okay, so we'll be right back and okay, go to the website. All right.
So,
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Start in the name of the one God, Allah. That was a nice break we had, and I hope you guys went to the website, or you will in the future. Again, I'll post everything on the bottom, and comment and rate and say whatever you want in this thread. I'm not going to delete anything. Like I said, I want to get back into the questions I wanted to know. You know, have you seen a change in the past like 15 years?
I have.
In terms of the ummah, in terms of the youth involvement or lack of involvement, or more towards you know, the dunya or the world, and you know, partying and girls and this and that. Have you seen a difference?
well, I can say yes and no, because yes, you definitely see in certain places where you see the youth losing interest in religion. They say, oh, please, man, I'm sick and tired of religion. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. I'm young. When I'm older, then I'll get more involved in religion. Like when I'm a bit older, then I'll commit myself to Islam. But then at the same time, I've seen 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds with that sincerity. They stand there in salah before they even have to. And they're standing there and they're concentrating on everything they're doing. They want to get everything perfect. And then you get the 14 and 15-year-olds that are wanting to really dedicate themselves. So you get both. You get the ones that are, okay, I just want to go and hang out with the girls.
You're talking about in what's happening in South Africa. I mean, well, in terms of, well, I mean, since you don't live here, you can't really see. But I mean, I live here, and I seen. I mean, myself, I was not really. I mean, I was Muslim by name, but you know, I didn't do anything that personified being Muslim. You know, and but my mom, you know, inshallah, she is in Jannah. You know, makes it to Jannah. And in 2005, she gave me a Mushari, you know, Quran CD with a translation, and I said in my mind, like, why are you giving me this? You know, I don't want to say anything bad, but I said, why are you giving me that? I don't care. You know, it's like, you know, I'm not going to listen to it. I said in my mind, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings. But I put it in my car, and you know, maybe a few months later, I put a CD in, and it was like, oh, that's pretty nice, you know. And the translation wasn't that old English, like art thou, and it was regular English, and slowly that was my catalyst, you know, to coming back to Islam, you know. And I thank my mom for that, and I hope, you know, she gets rewarded for that. You know, and but if it wasn't for that, I mean, I don't know where it would be.
So that is exactly what Allah wanted anyway. Allah has ordained every single person to return or come to Islam at His own time. Now, the youth that are out there, we have to be careful about saying that all American youth are not like that, because I've seen in the time that I've been touring in the last month, I've met some fantastic Muslim youth that are really strong.
I want to say, when I say youth, I don't mean like the 13-year-olds, and I mean, you know, from 15 all the way to 30. You know, before I was married, I considered myself a youth. I guess I still am, you know, but you know, I look at the 15-year-olds or, you know, 22-year-olds, and it's like yesterday, you know, but I'm like 10 years older than them, you know.
You're getting old.
Yeah. But
alhamdulillah, there are success stories. Obviously, there's going to be on both sides. Even when people move out of the youth and get into their older years or mid years or even their senior years, they're experiencing exactly the same problems. I mean, we have so many distractions in life. We're distracted by our business. We're distracted by pleasures of this world. So every single one of us, the central pillar that holds all the pillars of Islam together is a struggle, or we call it jihad, is pulling all those things together. We have to struggle to pray. We have to struggle to lower our gaze. I mean, it's not a natural thing for us to be able to lower our gaze. We have to practice upon it.
I mean,
it's a hard thing to do.
It's like if
you're right.
If you take 10 Muslims, you know, a youth, you know, my age or younger, 22-year-old, and you ask them, like, okay, do you believe that there's only one God? Yeah, they're probably going to believe that. But do you believe that an angel came down to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he like crushed him and gave him the Quran, and do you actually believe this? And if you sincerely ask some people, they might be no, I don't believe that. You know, that's a crisis in faith. You know, they might believe a God, but they're not going to believe all these other things, because, you know, while they were growing up, they might have got turned off by the religion.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you were born, did your mother force you to drink milk?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
Did they force you to eat food?
Yeah, well,
You would have
yeah,
died if you
yeah,
weren't forced.
obviously, yeah.
Even throughout your life, when you were older, your mother would say, don't go home, don't leave the house without eating. Don't go without having something to drink. Take this with you. Make sure you have that. There's no point in your life did you ever turn around to your parents and say to your parents, why did you force me to eat food? Why did you force me to drink food or drink and eat? We never had that problem. In the same way, when our parents force us, or the community forces you when you're young to go to mosque or to pray, these are things that are going to help you at the end of the day. They're habits that we need to form. But it's how you tell people to do that we need to learn from as the older generation when we are telling the youth things. So perhaps doing it in a more gentle way, not saying to the person, your feet are wrong, rather saying you did such a good job. You know,
Yeah.
that was so good. You know what, I just learned something the other day. Why don't you try it this way?
Yeah.
Then it's a much gentler approach, and the youth are more likely to follow.
That's true.
Follow that.
But I think that bridge has been burned already because look, think about
But we're going to be those old people.
That's what I'm saying. I have
So
a
it's up
daughter
to
on the
us
way.
to change.
You know, exactly. So
Don't worry about what the last generation did. Let's get it right with our generation.
Somebody that was my age, they're
Yeah.
hardly practicing. I mean, I know some people that, it's like, you have to go to prayer, Friday or something. Come on,
Yeah.
I mean, you're Muslim,
But
but
there's nothing there that they want to see. There's nothing that we are appealing to them with because they're just seeing traditionalism. They're seeing no's and no do's.
yeah, but imagine now their kids, because each generation as it gets more, as each generation goes and grows up and has their kids,
Yeah.
it gets less and less. I mean, they're gonna lose their language probably. So how's Islam gonna get past if that generation was weak in the first
Yeah.
place?
If you look at the local mosque, say we look at Cleveland, for
Yeah.
example. If you had to go to the Cleveland mosque, you'll see that all the activities that have been run in that mosque, I've been there, or that masjid the other day that I was there, all the important positions are being held by reverts.
Okay.
Those who have reverted to Islam or converts to Islam are holding those positions, the dawah position, the revert class position, all the important positions are being held by reverts. So if you drop the ball as born Muslims, we'll just pick it up. So it's not an
Inshallah,
issue that we're worried about, it's not going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. If you drop the ball, somebody else will just pick it up and continue with it. So Islam will, like you said right in the beginning of the show, Islam will continue to grow. No matter what we do, no matter how we mess it up, Allah will always choose another people to take it and continue with it. So I'm very positive. You see the cup half empty, I see it
Well,
half
only
full.
in this situation, unfortunately. I mean, maybe because I was that guy that
Yeah.
wasn't practicing, and then I became practicing more.
SubhanAllah. Allah gave you
Thank
the
God.
variety.
It's only through Allah's
Ameen.
will. So
Something people often ask me, they say, which is better, a convert or revert, or somebody who's born a Muslim? They are both just as good as each other, because once that person reverts to Islam, they become a Muslim. They have all the same responsibilities in any other Muslim. Now, a born Muslim is at an advantage because from the day he was born, he was taught certain concepts about Islam. Things become much things are much
Yeah,
easier for
yeah.
him to learn.
I mean, you're never.
With
I'm
a
never
revert,
gonna.
it takes much
Yeah.
longer. So we mustn't have the separation between the reverts and the born Muslims. Once you become a Muslim, you're a Muslim. You're no longer a revert.
Yeah.
Until the next person who reverts to Islam or converts to Islam. You now join the family of reverts. So never have that superiority thinking you're better than the born Muslim.
But
you are all part of that same group and you help each other along. I think that's important to keep the youth
That's-
active, and that way that Islam in a way becomes something more than just something that's religious.
Yeah, yeah.
It becomes part of your whole life. And this is the beauty of Islam again. It talks about every part of your life. It's not just, going off 5 times a day and praying. It's every part of our life is exciting as a Muslim. There's something that can entertain us, something that can keep us busy in a positive way.
Okay,
We need to understand those things.
So I have another question.
Learn about
Another question I have is, what's up with, the Hanafis versus the
Shafis and
and
Malikis.
Malikis? I mean, why is it so strict? I mean, isn't it? I heard somewhere where you shouldn't follow one blindly. I mean, you shouldn't pick and choose each one either because they're different. But you shouldn't follow one so blindly that the other one is wrong to you, or they're all right.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this is the danger that we are getting into as Muslim
It's like
communities.
polarized. It's
we're
too
becoming-
polarized.
We're also becoming people that say, well, you must just believe with blind faith. And this is something that was not taught in Islam. Islam is something that we must understand. Why are we doing what we're doing? We must have evidence and proof for everything we do. If you come a Christian, they will say to you, well, just believe with blind faith, because they can't prove anything. In Islam, it's totally different. Everything we do, we must question why we do it. And once we have that knowledge and once we know why we do it, then we believe and we follow that thing. We don't just blindly follow. So if you're following anybody, whether it be a madhab or a imam or whatever it might be, blindly without knowledge, without having the proof given to you, that's dangerous. So we respect all the imams. We respect all the imams. In fact, I think it's very, very important that when somebody reverts to Islam, that they are taught the basics of how to perform their salah, how to stand. All these things are important. Now, everyone will have a different opinion if we don't have a standard. So the imams gave us standards. The four imams gave us a basic standard. But we don't take that over the Quran and the Hadith. Mm-hmm. We still must follow the Quran and Hadith, and we use the four imams' teachings as a guide so that we know how to perform things in unity and uniformity. So we don't substitute the Quran and the Hadith with following a madhab. Some people have taken to the extent where they say, well, the imams didn't say that, and it's even against what the Quran or the Hadith is saying. That we must never do. Mm-hmm. So we respect, we follow. We're not I'm not, and I don't think anyone should be anti-madhab. But we should be those type of people that don't allow a madhab to overrule our following of the Hadith and the Quran. We're living in a society that promotes like this liberal hippie era in our thinking of religion. You see it happening in Christianity, where Christianity was quite staunch, it was very strict, it had a very set code. Today, anything goes in Christianity. I mean,
I guess some Muslims want to be like that.
It's becoming the same.
Also,
you have churches full of people. We have people who are sitting on church memberships or church boards who are prostitutes. Would you believe it? That a member can be not only a member of the church, but a member of the board. Now, decision-making
like this is in Africa?
In different parts of the world. I've met many people.
This is a fact?
This is a fact, yes. Okay. So we have the same liberalism coming into Islam. And people say, listen, brother, you're not going to bring the people into Islam. We've got to modernize Islam. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean, modernize Islam? It means we've got to, let's make sin permissible. That's what the word modernism. Come on, let's liberalize it. Let's bring some guitars into the mosque. Let a guitar, maybe like a drum or something. Let's liberalize. It just means
hey, you want to be the guitarist
permissible. Here? Yeah. So let's make sin permissible, and that's the thing. That's what we're doing. That's not what we do. Islam is already modern. It's so modern. Like you asked about, you said women's women's rights.
Yeah.
And I said no, it's women's responsibilities. Today we're using words that we don't really understand properly. We say, animal rights, human rights, women's rights. What are we saying? We don't even know what we are saying when we say that. What we need to be saying is, what about animal responsibility? We need to have responsibility to looking after those animals. What about the responsibility of looking after the environment? The responsibility of women, responsibility of men, responsibility of children. Then we will have a whole different world that we live in. But we want to say human rights, but we don't even know what that means. So let's say human responsibilities and start taking responsibility for our actions. Take responsibility for the environment. Take responsibility for everything in our environment. Then we will start. The youth are sick of this liberal Islam. They want an Islam with rules and regulations. Mm-hmm. If you give your kids free reign to do whatever they want, they soon get sick of it.
Yeah.
Then they want somebody to say, let's do it this way, let's do that. We're not saying that we have to be so strict on them that they don't want to come to the mosque, but there needs to be this balance between the two, and they will respond to that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Inshallah.
Inshallah. And so, how was your experience coming to America from South Africa, and in terms of seeing the youth or lack thereof, or more youth involvement? I mean, does that make you feel better, or does that make you more optimistic about the future of Islam and
I'm very
in the West? I guess
I am very positive about what I have seen in America. It is exactly not what I expected to see. When I came here, I expected to see Muslims that had absolutely no interest in the community. Mm-hmm. I expected to see very weak Muslims. I expected to see Muslims that would be hiding in the dark, undercover Muslims. This is what I expected. I didn't expect to see brave Muslims. I never expect to see a Muslim praying out in the open. I never expected to see as many youth coming to the mosque as I have seen. Youngsters wanting to learn more about Islam. And so it has been a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Does Islam in America have a long way to go? Of course it has a long way to go. Just like it has in South Africa, as it has in New Zealand and all the other parts of the world. We have to be more active and less reactive. We need to be more proactive and less reactive. What seems to happen in the Muslim world, we wait for some atrocity to happen or something bad to happen to Islam. And then we stand up and go, oh, this is terrible, let's burn some flags. Instead of being proactive and saying, listen, what will happen in 5 years' time if something has to happen in our community? What will happen? How will we deal with these issues? So we become very reactive and not proactive. And I think this is what we have to do. We have to think of a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan, a 50-year plan for Islam in each country. And we still follow, inshallah, but that doesn't mean we don't plan.
Yeah.
If we look at the early Islam, they planned everything that they did.
Like, what is your thoughts about like how it's going to be in 10 years?
I think Islam is going to really grow very fast. I mean, we see it happening all the time. In South Africa, in my office, I have about 10 reversions a day. Between 6 and 10. On a good day, 10. On a bad day, about 6. That's people coming and knocking on my front door. So it's not we going out telling anybody. They're just coming. So we're finding that it's very, very easy. People are coming into Islam. They're getting sick of fake religions. They're getting sick of messing around, even as Muslims, because Muslims also revert to Islam. So
I
We
agree.
find many Muslims that are that I'm sick of this. I'm sick of playing games in Islam. I'm sick of Islam that's not really working. I'm sick of the artificial Islam, the one that this doesn't make sense. So they're coming to Islam and they're reverting.
Yeah.
And so all the time we're seeing it. Here in America, we've had fantastic results with people coming after and saying, brother, now I want to really get serious about Islam. Now I want to revert to Islam. So
yeah, I
we're
think
having it all the time.
the thing different about when I was growing up versus now, it's such a global community, you know. I mean, you got the internet and
Facebook.
I mean, everything. It's just everything's global, you know. It's not a big deal to have a friend in Africa.
It's
you know,
true.
it's not a big deal to
You just
you know,
go
I mean,
and-
nobody chats, but you know what I mean? No AOL anymore.
You just Skype
but
and you can
exactly.
see a scholar anywhere
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
world
and
and
it's
talk to them and ask them a question.
But see, the thing about now, you put up an interesting point. Like, if I was living in the U.S., I have no need to ask a scholar about my
Exactly.
community. You know, like we have capable scholars here. You know,
Yeah.
Yasir Qadi, you know, is capable. There's other scholars that are
Yeah.
capable. You know, and but in terms of like Islam as a global thing, it's not like a local, you know, Saudi Arabia or India or
Yes.
phenomenon anymore. It's global. You know, and
And this is the beautiful thing, is that we have one big global village now,
Yeah.
and we can all communicate with each other at a touch of a button. You can get advice from one of the scholars that you thought were untouchables. Now you can contact them anytime. You can just click on their profile and ask them a question. They will respond
Yeah.
to you.
I mean,
before there was this hierarchy, this distance.
Yes.
You couldn't get to these people. They
and
were too pious.
there
to
weren't any
contact.
local.
Now it's easy to
You
get.
know, born and raised in America, you know, and you didn't, you know, you had to go to India. What does some guy in India, some village in India,
Yeah.
have to do with, you know, me living in LA? He shouldn't be
Exactly.
giving me advice. He doesn't know
Exactly,
the
yeah.
situation. It's a world of a difference.
Yeah.
You know, it's like black and white, literally. You
Yeah,
know, it's
definitely.
that much difference. You know,
Alhamdulillah, it's wonderful that we have this technology and we must use this technology.
Yeah.
Some people are frightened of technology, and I can understand why, because technology can be used for good or it could be used for evil.
Mm-hmm.
So people say, no, don't use technology. I'm on the opposite. I think that technology should be used. Use Twitter, use Facebook, use blogging, use Foursquare, use all
but
these
see,
media
that's the thing. We need
networks.
to have you know, we have enough doctors. We have enough engineers and computer scientists and
Yeah.
all that stuff. We need people in journalism. We need
Yeah.
people in broadcasting, radio. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not good pay for sure, but that mentality of our parents, you know, especially the older generation, the first generation
Yeah.
parents that came from overseas, they tend to push doctor, engineer, lawyer, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but we had to
IT.
break that mold, and I
IT.
think the next generation, my generation, their kids, you know, as they grow, it's going to be more diverse, and you see that on Facebook. You know, you see a Muslim sister that's, you know, hijabi and
Yeah.
practicing, and she's doing film, you know, and Cannes film festivals and
That's
things
excellent,
like that,
yeah.
and that's awesome. And every time I listen to lectures by Yasir Qadi and American born and raised people, my iman goes up, and
Subhanallah.
there are leaders here in the U.S. and whether they like it or not, they've been kind of pushed to that leadership position, and you know, I think
And they
they're
must
doing
use
good.
it with wisdom. You know, they must use that opportunity.
Because it's a very big responsibility, you know, because a lot of people are listening to you, you know, and well,
That's
they're not
be
going to
very
blindly
careful.
follow you, but
Yeah.
you know,
Don't blindly follow.
definitely not. Everything has proof and everything, you know, and but you know, we have limited time now, and it was great talking to you, and I hope we can do this again.
Jazakallah
I mean,
khair, was a
I
privilege.
apologize for this low budget, setup we have here, but maybe next time you come, it'll be
Big
better.
production,
Yeah.
Bollywood
Yeah.
style.
At least we have one good camera. That's on you, not on me. Okay, but
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair, and we really have been encouraged from South Africa to see the work that is happening here in America, and we want to develop this relationship with Americans. So contact us.
yeah, definitely. We're gonna put the website on the screen here, right now. AreebIslam.com.
Come.
AreebIslam.com, and what kind of information can they find on that?
You can find out all sorts of information for new Muslims, for old Muslims, for bad Muslims, and for people just interested in knowing more about other religions. So you can go there, good comparative
Now,
website.
is it something that someone from America would benefit from that also?
Absolutely,
So it's not
absolutely.
like a localized
No,
African
it's
Durban thing.
global. It's got
Okay.
a global
Message,
perspective, and
yeah.
it's wonderful. And it keeps the work of Ahmed Didat going
Yeah.
with latest information, brand new research.
'Cause,
So it's not low budget. Sorry.
there's so
it's
many
not low
different.
budget, hard budget website.
All right, you make it look bad now, but like there's so many topics we can go on forever for hours,
Yeah.
But I think it's a great thing to know about other religions. Then that makes you stronger because you see the
Exactly.
truth,
Yeah,
And
exactly.
when I do comparative, in my small scope, when I do comparative religions and read about other religions out there like
Yeah.
Christianity, and you see their theology versus our pure theology, it's
There's no
refreshing that
comparison,
it's
yeah.
like, come on, man. How can you not
SubhanAllah,
believe
so
this?
go to the website.
Yeah.
Good stuff there.
And please rate, comment, say whatever you want. I'm not going to be blocking anything. And enjoy your day. And inshallah, may you find peace and happiness in what you do. And thank you for listening. And assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Thank you. All right. Thanks.
Jazakallah.